Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today we're talking about some more AMD stuff. Well, actually, I ran a poll earlier today asking you guys if you would like me to continue to keep talking about AMD or if you would like me to stop and focus on NVIDIA again because NVIDIA is better or whatever. And the overwhelming majority of you guys said to go ahead and keep talking about AMD and being positive about AMD. So I've decided that AMD needs a hero, and I am here to be that hero. So essentially, I'm becoming an AMD fanboy. No, I'm just joking. I'm not a fanboy. I mean, in the future, you know, things always change. Nothing's ever concrete or set in stone when it comes to PC, obviously. So as it sits right now, we are going to continue AMD. We're going to continue AMD. This was essentially an Xbox, you know, well, I started this channel as a gaming channel. Very quickly, the fanboys made me choose, so I chose Xbox because I'm just more excited about what Xbox is doing for the future of gaming. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm just more excited about that. To me, PC is an extension of the Xbox ecosystem, of the Xbox, of the Xbox platform. I know it's more than that. Like, I get that. I understand that. It's more than that. You could do a lot more with it. Obviously, I run this channel with the PC, and I play games, play some amazing games on PC. But I will continue to service, the Xbox ecosystem of things, and of course I'm still going to cover PlayStation. Obviously, they're still going to have exclusives. I got an exclusive coming out this month that we'll be covering on PSVR 2. Can you believe it? We're actually going to be playing some PSVR 2 this month. This is a PSVR 2 game that I've been actively waiting for. Firewall Ultra. Definitely been looking forward to this. Can't wait to cover this one. I really did like the first game, so this one here, I'm thinking it's going to be a lot better with the Sense VR controllers, so I'm actually looking forward to that. Honestly, guys, I don't hate the PSVR 2. I don't necessarily have a problem with it at all. I do like it. When I put it on and I play it, it's very immersive. It feels pretty premium, like it really does. The games that I do own and that I do play on it, like, it feels like a good experience. I do still think it's overpriced. I think it's been overpriced from day one. If they would have sold this thing for like $399, it would have been a much easier sell. The lack of overall support right now, I mean, like, that's kind of expected. It hasn't even been out a year yet. We'll wait until next year. We'll see how the content keeps coming to the PSVR 2. I haven't completely written it off. I know I joke about it all the time, and I say things, to get the ponies a little riled up, but at the end of the day, like, the PSVR 2 is a solid experience. It just needs more must-have, must-play content on it. You guys know me. I really like sim racing. I like racing. I definitely like VR racing. PSVR 2 makes that very, very easy to get into, so I just would like to see them bring more racing content to that. I am looking into possibly getting Skate VR as well. There's been, people in the community to request that. It is something that I'm looking into possibly picking up. Just haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet. There's a lot of other things that I need to cover. But because when I get some of these PSVR 2 games, I want to be able to actively cover them and cover them for a little while instead of it just being like a little quick video and then moving back on to everything else. Like, I want to be able to give it the actual time that it deserves when there's something to talk about on it. Same goes for PlayStation 5. But as we continue to go through this, I'm going to cover these games on this AMD card because that's what I have. That's what I have. If the NVIDIA bros show up and they're like, well, the 4080 gets 5 more frames, I don't care. I left NVIDIA for a reason. There's a reason why I went over to Team Red, and I'm like, yeah, let's rock Team Red, man. Let's see what they got. There's a reason for that. I'm not gonna sit on a little hamster wheel, buying products from NVIDIA, and it kind of feels like I don't like the way that company manipulates its customers into you know, having to feel like they need to buy the top of the line just for it to be a viable option for longer than a couple of years. Like, that sucks, man. That really sucks. You got people still rocking 6700 XTs and 6800 XTs and 6950 XTs and 6900 XTs. They had a good amount of VRAM so they can continue to rock those. I've seen a couple of videos. There's somebody in the community that has like a 3080 Ti. He's been putting out some content for it, you know, showing me a little bit different, you know, a little bit different mindset than what I had, you know, with the 3080 10 gig. And I'll give him credit for that. Like, I'll give NVIDIA credit for that. Like, that card is still holding on with its 12 gigs of VRAM. But that essentially has the power of a 3090 with just 12 gigs of VRAM. So when you look at that, like, of course that experience is still going to hold up fairly well in games that don't, you know, max out its VRAM and ray tracing and stuff like that. So yeah, that 3080 12 gig, you know, that 3080 Ti 12 gig would have been a viable option, you know, had I been able to had I got that, I probably would be in a different position right now. I'd still be hanging on, but you know that there's games like Resident Evil 4 that probably are really making that card, you know, not really that viable of an option. And that is another game that I play. I don't have the problems on the AMD card, on the 7900 XT, that I would have ran into with an NVIDIA card over the long run. I guarantee it, that 3080 Ti would definitely be a 1440p card now. Like, going forward with these next gen games, you could almost guarantee that's a 1440p card going forward, and it's fine. And I mean, like, 1440p to, you know, 1080p, whatever, depending on like how these new games start stacking up. You got to understand, like, a game like Remnant 2, a AA game comes out and it brings all these cards to its knees with just nanite. And I mean, imagine if Lumen and everything else was in this game. Like, where would these 30 series cards even stack up right now? I mean, we know that, like, VRAM wise, the AMD stack from last gen, this gen, you know, those cards are going to hold up pretty well. And I like that. And I'm willing to give AMD a shot, and I'm willing to bat for them, and I'm willing to, you know, not necessarily market their product, but use their product and, you know, talk about the good things. And if there's bad things that come up, we'll talk about those too. But for the most part, man, my experience with this card has been a lot smoother. And I like that. I did run into something today, though. Baldur's Gate 3. I decided to give this game a second chance. And I've been playing around with it. I've got about 3 hours into it now. And I was trying to play it on a 1440p monitor today, and I started getting like this really bad frame pacing with it. It was like it would just stop, and it would stop, and it would stop, and it would stop, and it was like, wow, this is like every like 3 steps it would like stutter, and I was like, wow, what's going on? But then when I put it on a 4K screen, perfect, absolutely perfect, no problem at all. And I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. So I'm wondering if, you know, I'm wondering what was going on with that, because it was going way over, like way over my 165. Tried to lock it down. I need to play around with it, figure out what's going on with that. But there's like little things like that, I mean, obviously Baldur's Gate is a heavy game, but like, I'm running it at 4K with max settings at like 80 to 100 frames a second, up to 120, up to 120 frames a second, even a little bit more. You get into a closed area and it shoots all the way up to like 170. I'm like, wow, this is insane. So this game is an interesting game, but then I get screen tearing because my screen only goes to 120. So when it comes to AMD and NVIDIA, you know, I mean, even 20% of it was like, yeah, man, bring the console wars to the PC space, to the PCMR space. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, man? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll start. Depends on the fanboys. It depends on the NVIDIA fanboys. If they come to the channel and continue to make me hate, or not hate, but dislike or rub in my face that I don't like NVIDIA right now, like, I'm bitter. I'm bitter with NVIDIA. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm not bitter about, you know, the way I feel like they treat their customers, man. I feel like it's wrong, and I decided to take my money and give it to AMD instead. Well, I mean, what's the harm with that? I'm going to eventually have to buy another graphics card, right? I mean, technology gets old. It does. Newer technology gets better. eventually I will have to upgrade. So right now I chose to go with AMD. If AMD brings something else out, I will look at AMD first before I even consider buying another NVIDIA card. That's for sure. Like, I will look to another AMD product before I even consider going with NVIDIA again for the time being. Like, I will look at AMD first before even considering that. Like I did say, I do plan eventually to build an NVIDIA machine to kind of, but that's like not on the top of my list. That's not something that I'm like eagerly wanting to go do. I'm not going to show up with an NVIDIA build like here in the next year or so. Like, it's going to be a while before I do that. There's other things that I would like to upgrade in the studio first. Other products that I would like to buy. You got Quest 3 coming out this year. You got a ton of games that I still got to buy and all of that. So there's plenty of time before I purchase or do anything with that. If anything, I would put a new CPU in here before I even consider doing anything else with NVIDIA right now. Right now, I'm getting to know my AMD system, and I'm bringing that to you so that you guys can follow along with that. So, I don't even know what day it is. It's like, what, day 42 of having an AMD build now? Day 42. We've got we got FSR3 on the horizon. You know, the speculation now is it's coming out with Starfield, which would be pretty cool, which would 100%, I mean, that would 100% make sense if it is an AMD exclusive deal and it's only going to have AMD tech. I get it. Like, it makes sense to me. They want the focus on FSR3. They don't want the focus on NVIDIA. They don't want the focus on XESS. They want the focus on AMD. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, that's the Starfield is one of the reasons I bought AMD. Like, that's one of the reasons why I was like, okay, yeah. And I mean, it was a good choice because Resident Evil 4 runs incredibly on this card. Like, it runs very well at 4K, 1440p. Like, it is a very good experience. It is an overall good experience. So, if you guys like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I had my tooth pulled today. The numbness wore off a little while ago, so I decided, I was like, man, I better get a video out. It's already getting a little bit late. So, all right, my friends, thank you for coming, and we'll see you in the next one.